Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. It is a noon, 11:58 on Saturday. It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I think it's gonna reach like 90 degrees, and I'm gonna go play Ultimate Frisbee at 5 o'clock today. I bet you it'll be right at 90 degrees. And I think the last time we played, it was, I want to say 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be 25 degrees hotter. So it's a massive shift. Now, I didn't play last week because last week I was out of town. But, anyways, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, buddy. How you doing, buddy? He's a good girl. All right, so here's my little mind map. And it is interesting because I started looking at this and I'm like, this is confusing. Look, why do I have two 3JSs? A 3JS here and a 3JS here. And, you know, I'm not 100% sure. I am not 100% sure. And Rhett is definitely on fire today. Um, you're on fire, Rhett. Rhett, you're on fire. Um, anyways, I think this has been pretty fun though, and I'm going to. I kind of wish I had something like this to look at every day before I started work at my job, like a little visualization of our application, just to tool around with and play with. It's kind of neat. But so I look over here at services, and we have ST service, and we have a 3 service, and we have an animation service. We also have a utilities service, and we have a visualization service. So it kind of maps up, except that visualization over here is inside of Showtime, which I think might be wrong. I think it might actually need to be up here. Um, but let's go ahead and just add. I just want to do a little something, a little something every day. Um, so let's go ahead and just add a child. And we have two ways of doing that in this tool. We can do this, or we could like click on this guy and click this and add a sibling. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm just going to add utilities and just call it a day with this because, you know, we could spend all day on this. And let's see. And that would be cool. But for now, I think that's far enough. We've done our part to make this a little better and to think about stuff a little bit more. Um, so the visualization has a reference. An Angular component has a reference to, no, a visualization has a reference to an Angular component. Hmm, that is true. 3JS does have a renderer here, but this 3JS also has a renderer. And I do think they are different. So those are interesting things to think about. But I will close that down. Thank you, mindmeister.com. You guys are awesome so far. I've enjoyed our relationship. Boom. All right. So I did get a new version of Visual Studio Code, and I might actually have to put Rhett, I might have to put you up, girl. Um, and so I don't know. I don't usually read over these. I might glance over them uh, more than anything, just in case, because something's gonna be weird, right? Something is gonna break. Is someone too interesting? So they have a fetch tool. Use hashtag fetch for including content from a publicly accessible in your prompt. So I guess this is all part of, I guess, a thinking tool, which is part of GitHub Copilot. You know, it's so hard to tell with these sorts of things if, like, even if it's a great tool and it works perfectly, if it's just a flash in the pan, if it's just going to come and then just go. Um, VS Code extension, tools and agent mode. Man, they are really putting a lot of work into this. Unified chat view. Bring your own key. Yeah, so they're just going crazy with this Copilot stuff. It'll be interesting to see if this ends up being the end, the thing that kills Visual Studio Code, because man, they are just going crazy with Copilot. Notebooks. Minimal version of Jupyter Notebook document. 5. Accessibility, source control. I do like how source control works in Visual Studio Code. Simplified detail tab hover. Yeah, I would love to be able to just spend hours and hours and hours reading that stuff, but I just don't have time. I've got other things I want to do. So we ran the unit test yesterday, so let's go ahead and do that. And we had some problems with code coverage inside of the app. And what was happening was, and what is happening is that inside of our component, no, this is our top application that we're having problems. Inside of here, none of the post, none of the ngAfterViewInit code called and it was executed, and then none of the code that's inside these set timeouts got executed. And so I love you too, Rhett. I love you too. Now, like all the tests passed and all that, so that was really good. But when we looked at the test coverage, so I'm going to move that off the screen now that we've seen it. If there's one thing that I found triggers a lot of people is these double bars. Like, oh my gosh, this makes people go crazy. But anyways, let's go ahead and grab the index. I was going to create a new tab, but it always ends up creating a brand new tab anyways. Wrong one. Did it? Maybe, was it this one? Oh my gosh, why would it be blocked? That is bizarre. Let's see, what it, yeah, that, I've never tried it not creating a, okay. I don't know. That's weird. Right, that's weird. And I don't know if I don't think I've ever done this before. I just wanted to save a step by not creating. Now if I drag it on again, just weird. Well, that'll be bouncing around in my head for a while. Anyways, so we click in here, and then we click in here, and this will show us what. So nothing in the set timeout got called in any of these 3 set timeouts. So I was like, well, who cares, right? Because this code is not long for this world, but I care. And the reason I care is because I might actually need to do. Well, like we are literally doing these set timeouts. It is kind of funny because, set timeouts for, to have it wait a second, have it wait 2 seconds, wait 3 seconds, so that these things come in a second apart from each other. And, and I might actually need to do that in an actual job, and then I might need to be able to unit test stuff that happens. So I need to figure that out. I would like to figure that out. I don't need to figure that out, but I would like to figure that out. Also, I do. So when I'm coding at work, like, especially if I'm in a hurry, I don't really have. I come up with these little like, oh, I would like to investigate that later. I would like to investigate that later. I'd like to understand something better. later. And I just have thousands of those things stacked over my head over the decades that I've been being a software developer, and a lot of them are around this sort of concept of passing a function into something. So I actually would like to dig into that just for my own personal um, validation. But first, I do want to write a unit test that runs um, this ngAfterViewInit. So I want to get from 130 to 132 executing. So let's go back to ChatGPT. And we'll go to yesterday. So we were talking about student loan bankruptcy and my bankruptcy paralegal. So, should student loans be bankrupt, be something you should be able to do a default. And I think that, yeah, you should. But that's just my personal opinion. And I did pay my student loans, and we paid, like, it was so funny because I remember my last student loan, like, my payment was like a third of what it usually was, and we were like, oh, okay, what went wrong, blah blah blah. It was like, oh my gosh, it's paid off, because we paid for 15 years, 20 years on that thing. And then I remember the exact same thing happened with my wife when hers got paid off. Hers got paid off about 3 years after mine, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it's paid off. So we paid off our student loans, but I do think that people should probably be able to get rid of them. I mean, I don't like the concept of bankruptcy, period, and but there's a lot of concepts that I don't like that are just part of being a human being and living in a society. And one thing, if you want to live in a human society that doesn't have like a bunch of slavery and stuff in it, you're going to have bankruptcy, right? Because sooner or later, people end up in a position where all they have left is themselves, and they don't have any other way of paying, and they're stuck for the rest of their lives. They'll never be able to get rolling again because they're mired in debt. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to give them a break. There's just no way around it. But anyway, so the Angular testing folks provided this really awesome detect changes, which I guess a side effect of it is that ngAfterViewInit ends up getting fired before whatever this does. I suspect it has some sort. I wonder if we can even figure it out. So let's copy this. I mean, it's like Saturday. I got hours. My wife has to go to a baby shower. I got like 5 hours before my unit test, before my before we do our ultimate frisbee. So I got time. Although I do need to study paralegal a little bit. Almost done with the first paralegal unit. There's like 11 of them I think I've finished, and then I will be able to get a certificate to be an official paralegal. Now my son says that you don't really need, he's a lawyer, he says you don't really need a certificate like that. But he's like, it can't hurt. And I've really enjoyed learning it, and I'm, at this point I'm gainfully employed as a computer programmer, so I don't think that, but I just don't think it's a long-term, like, I don't think that you can, I don't think it's the kind of job that you can count on over time. I think that one, they're trying to teach computer programming as part of disciplines. So like if you become an accountant, you should be able to do your own coding. If you become a doctor, a lawyer, anything, you should be able to do your own coding. And that is definitely a direction I think it's going in. So, I kind of needed to pick a direction that I could still be a computer programmer. Like the last time I was unemployed, a person who knew drafting who is a drafter, a professional drafter, was just like, oh my gosh, if you could get into drafting, this Revit tool that we have has like all this this ability to write code, but none of the drafters know how to do it except for one guy, and and he basically can command a ton of money because he knows how to do coding and he's a drafter. And I think that's kind of where we're at. So anyways, I need to import this component fixture from Angular core. And then I already import my app component. It would be really fun and interesting, but not worth it at this point in time to just dig into what that does. Like component fixture. So all I've done at this point is define it. I haven't actually create, like, it's just like an empty undefined string on line 5, right? And I said that I told it that it's going to be a implementation. I don't know what the right word is. That it's going to be an object, and the thing that it sort of supports, I guess, is an app component, which an app component is the kind of component that I created. So then at some point in here, so we actually create a fixture already. So let's see, it doesn't seem like, okay, so then it looks like we don't want to do that, but I'm gonna pause for 1 second.